Okay, here we go, part 3 of our videos here on digitizing this pencil sketch. This video we're going to cover, hopefully we're going to get two eyes and the nose done. The two eyes, I think I've got a good idea how I want to do it, and I can tell you already when I do the nose I'm not going to like it. Actually, pretty hard to do to get it to look right. Now, it may look different when it was actually sewn, but I don't know that I'm going to like it here on the screen, so I'm going to warn you ahead of time. First thing I'm going to do before we get started, though, is I'm getting tired of this blue color here. I'm not really getting the effect I want. I want it to be more of a gray color. I'm going to change it. I think you'll be able to see it just as well, but it's going to blend in a little bit more like a pencil sketch, and maybe I'll like it a little bit better. So to get started, we ended when we did this satin stitch around his head. We ended right here, which would be right in his neck below his ear there. So we're going to start out, we're going to have to get do a trim to get up to here. And since we can't really insert a trim, the way I do it is I put a manual stitch from where I'm going, and I'm going to start in with his left eye, and I'm going to start at the point where his eyebrow and eye kind of meet. That way I can do them both without doing a trim in there. And I'll plot my second point up there. I'll right click, that will make that manual stitch up there. Now I will just select that and come over here and tell it that I want that stitch to end with a trim and apply. And to my recollection, that's the best way to do it here in the Floriani software. If somebody has a better idea, let me know, but that seems to work. It's a little awkward if you ask me, but it does work. So now we're going to get our running stitch, and we're going to do his eyebrow first. And the technique I'm going to use on this eyebrow could really be used on a lot of different areas, and it's going to be different than what we've done his hair. But a technique similar to this could be used on the hair. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and I'm going to go up here. I want to end right back where I started. So I'm just going to work my way up here with some running stitches that we're actually just going to use them to travel up here. Once I get up here to the end, I'm going to go ahead and right click, because that will be our travel stitches, and if we'd ever want to break this apart, it would come in handy. So there's our travel stitches up to there. Now I'm going to plot some stitches, and I'm just going to kind of put them randomly in here, and we're just going to not make it like a zigzag, but we're going to use an angle stitch, or angle the stitches about like this, and we'll put another one in there, and we're just going to do it like that. They're just a little bit random. We don't want to make them too perfect, but this angle will give it a little different effect when you stitch it. I'm not sure exactly what our stitch length should be on this, but it looks to me, and I'm not going to measure it, but it looks to me like these would probably end up sewing like a satin stitch, but you can see they'll be just a little bit erratic there, and I think that would actually look pretty good for his eyebrow. So we've got that done, and so I'm just going to use just the running stitch again still here. We're not going to do anything but running stitches in this video. We're going to work our way across the top of his eye, and we'll come over here to the end. Now when I get to the end here, as I work my way back, where it's a little darker here, I'll just put a few extra stitches back, but always returning to my line. But that'll just add a little extra thickness to that. And I'm going to work my way right back to here, because I'm going to do his actual, we'll just call it the eyeball here, which is really probably just his cornea and pupil. We're going to do that and end here and go back to here, and then we've got everything covered twice. So I'm going to right click there, and as you can see, this little thickness, extra thickness that was shown in this pencil sketch is shown in the stitches that way. Now to do this, I'm not going to use, you could use a satin stitch or something, but I'm not going to use that. I'm still going to plot all these stitches manually, and the reason I'm going to do it, I think it makes it a little bit easier when you go to edit it. And something like this, I would definitely say that once I would sew something like this, I would probably do some editing. Now the important thing is here, we're not going to make this solid. If we make this solid, it will just not look right. It's going to just stand out, and it just will never look right if you just make this a solid blob on there. So I think the important things we need to do is try to get these holes opened up here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way around here, and I'm going to do the bottom first, and I'm just going to plot it like it's a satin stitch, but I'm going to do it manually. Now you could do a satin stitch underneath here, but I'm not going to do it. I just have a little bit more control. I could go in and edit this stitch by stitch a little easier and get the look I want, I think, if I do this, because I know where the stitches are going rather than relying on the software to put them someplace. So we're going to do the bottom part like that. Then we'll come just across this top, and we're going to go just like the same thing here. And you're going to ask, how do we know how many to put in? The proof will be in the stitching, and you really won't know beforehand, but you can get an idea here of about how many I used, and I think that would be fairly close. Now the first thing I'm going to notice before I even zoom out, we got to remember that these holes need to open up. We need to have a little bit of basically our fabric showing through here. Now there's very little shown here. There will be a lot of embroidery distortion here. These stitches are going to pull that hole open a little bit. These will pull it open a little bit on the top. If we wanted to change it, of course, we can go up here, get our shape tool, and move these stitches individually, and they'll probably look better here, but they'll probably be too open on the actual embroidery, but we'll just make it look good on the screen for right now. I'm going to move those points, right click, update the path, and we'll go back here and we'll zoom out a little bit and see what this eye looks like. Can't really see the white, it's there. I don't think that looks too bad. So we're going to go back up here, get our running stitch tool, and we're going to go back down this line and finish up right here where we started. And these lines across the top are done twice, and then we have our little accent marks where it's a little thicker. So we're going to call his left eye done. From that point, we're just going to get our manual tool, plot a point there, over to here, right click, that finishes our manual stitch, select that, come over here, trim, and apply, and you can see it goes to a dotted line or disappears since I'm in the 3D view here. And we'll do this eye. I'm going to do pretty much the same thing. Get our running stitch tool and work our way over. And we don't really need to worry about all this shading in here. I'm just going to try to get the eyebrow in here. I'm going to try to use kind of the same thing we did before. It's just kind of random across here. Going to keep them stitches kind of random in length and spacing a little bit. Work our way back to there. Not too bad. Looks like it might be a little bit opening there. The truth will be again in the stitching. We'll know. We'll go ahead and use that running stitch tool, come down here and do this little piece. The bottom part of his nose I'm not going to connect to this, so we're not going to worry about going on down there. I think it will look better this way. And better doesn't necessarily mean good. I don't know that that nose is going to work out real well. But we're going to try it. So we're going to get this little thickness up here, come across, and we're going to do the eye pretty much the same way. Back to there. I'll go ahead and make that a section, and we'll come down and do this. Right like this. And we'll just do this all in manual running stitches again. All the way around the bottom side, and then we'll go across the top and we'll do a few up here, hopefully leaving those little white spots open. Continue back to where we started. And I'm going to change this one the same way I did that one. Get my tools working here. We're going to edit. We're going to leave that one like that. We're going to pull that one open and probably pull that one open right there. Leave this, come down here and close up that area. Right click, update that path. And let's see what that looks like when we zoom out. Actually, the eyes look pretty good. I like that. I think that I'm going to like that a lot more than I like the nose here. But we're going to do the nose next. The video is going to be a little shorter than they were, but I'm going to finish the nose. The next video, I'm going to go back and do some editing and just to kind of show you some editing that maybe you guys haven't done before. If you have, maybe you'll learn something out of it. Nothing too fancy, but we're just going to take a little break from drawing here, and the next video will be fairly short too on just some editing. So we're going to go turn on that. Again, we need to get our manual tool. We're going to work, let's work over here to this side. So we're going to plot our point there and over here. Right click, select that stitch and put the trim there. So now we're down here. We'll get our running stitch tool. Now all I'm really going to do on the nose is just outline this bottom part. And the shape is going to be really important, and you can, make it whatever it looks right to you. It does need to look rounded here, so I'm going to put some smaller stitches in. I'm not going to use any curves. I don't really see any use of doing that. But we're going to make this a little bit more exaggerated than what's actually here, and hopefully it'll look like a nose, or at least the shadow part of the nose here. So we made our manual stitch down here. We're going to just come back up here, and we're going to add just a little bit of roundness to that, and then work our way back to where we started. Now we need to work over here and then end up back here, because I just wanted this to be a double running stitch. Might throw a couple extra stitches in for some width. But here we're going to try to make this just a little bit more rounded, and then we're going to accent this a little bit more by coming down a little further, and we can change it if we want. And then we're going to bring this around just like that. And it's really, I just work to the outside to exaggerate that a little bit there. This might look a little pointy. We may have to fix that up, but we can fix that up between videos here. There's no sense of watching a video on just moving points. Well, maybe we will, because that looks really bad. So we're going to move in here, scroll down, and we're going to move a few points here just to get this a little bit less pointy. That's a little better. And let's see if this is going to be, still looks pretty pointy, but that's our basic idea. I think I'm going to tweak that a little bit here in between the videos. That's kind of our basic idea of what we want to get on that nose. I don't want to get this part up in here. I think it's going to make his nose stand out just way too much. And I don't think that's really what we're looking for. On the next video when I come back in, we'll either do that editing or I'll do it, and then I'm going to show you a couple other things I want to edit. I don't know why. I'm just going to decided I wanted to show you that. So anyway, there's the eyes look real good. The nose is so-so. I think I'm going to tweak it a little bit, but I think actually the eyes came out pretty well. We can see those little white dots. We might have to adjust those when we actually stitch it, and of course that would all depend on the size we stitch it, because since those are all manual stitches, that's really going to affect it a lot. So hopefully everybody learned something in that. I'm pleased with the eyes, not so much with the nose, but we'll fix it up here. So we'll see you in the next video.